A goobwa. I call a goobwa. That's our thing.
A goobwa.
Make it our thing. A goobwa. Well, are we ready to get this Agubwa train going?
I'm ready to get this Agubwa train going. Yes.
Good to me, Brett.
Agubwa.
Agubwa! No, this is Dads Meet World, your weekly deep dive into that 90s classic Boy Meets World, joined by two dads who love this show and want to talk about it nonstop. I am one of those dads, Tyler, joined by...
I am Brett.
How long have you been planning on doing that?
About 10 seconds when I realized it's still on the board. Sitting right next to...
Agubwa.
All right. Well, if you've never listened to us before, welcome. We just like to have fun. We like to go through this show scene by scene, give our takes, but we always start with just a little catch up of what's going on in our lives. So, Brett, anything fun and new going on with you?
Oh, fun and new. I am back into the swing of things for this time of year at work. Fun for the family, though. I was talking off mic to Tyler. Our youngest is sick, but our oldest two, I've mentioned them many times here on the podcast, Abby and Toby. Abby, who has been on the podcast a couple of times, they both had auditions for the fall play this week, yesterday and today, Tuesday and Wednesday as we were recording. And they both got callbacks and will go back for callbacks on Thursday as I finish editing this. And so by the time this drops on Friday, they will know whether or not they have roles, and if they do, what roles they will have in this fall's play.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take the optimistic approach because I know they listen every single week, no matter what, our number one fans. So, Abby and Toby, congratulations on whatever part you're playing, and you deserve it.
That's right.
What's the play this go around?
This year, it's Peter the Starcatcher. It's I think I got the title right. It's a not a preview. It's a
prequel?
A prequel to Peter Pan.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So Abby is very much convinced she is going to be reading for the part of one of the children. Toby has no clue. He's just very excited because it's very rare for a freshman with no theater experience to get a call back.
He's got a dry pan to him that I feel like would be an audience pleaser.
I agree.
Like, Toby kind of appeals to me of like, he may not do any of the things he's told to do, but he's going to do something that's going to make people laugh and go, dude, did you see that kid? That was so funny.
He could definitely be that unplanned comic relief.
Mm-hmm. You got to have that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's new and exciting here in my world. What about you over there in Volkland?
Well, today is as recording is the first day of school. So there was just nothing but chaos in our town and in our household trying to manage, I worked last night and then trying to get home, get him to school at a reasonable time, and then doing an afternoon run, brand new bus, so trying to get that figured out. And on the first day, if anyone out there does anything with buses whatsoever, either you've ridden it, you've driven them, or you just have to deal with the fact your children get picked up or dropped off, you just know the first day is always rough. Like, there's no way around it. It's trying to figure out where the kids are going, what's happening. The afternoon on the first day is always a hot mess. So... just dealt with that. Then I had to go to football. So dealing with little kid doing football. And all of them were just so tired and just so had no energy whatsoever. And the other team just had a few plays where they were able to make do that we just couldn't do. So it's just one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, one of the coaches looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And I go, "It's just a bad day. That's all." And that happens in sports, Some days you don't have a great day. But that's all right, because Grayson went to bed pretty quickly when he got home because he's exhausted. So,
yes. First day of school and football, man.
Yeah. So one last thing is that I took my youngest to the store because I had to get him some baby food and formula and all that jazz and a couple extra things for dinner. And I could tell how grumpy he was because he was not near mom, and we're going through a mommy I need you phase, and he wasn't near his brother, who he has spent most of his time with over the summer because they went to the same babysitter. Mm-hmm. So he was very just like almost like didn't want to talk to me, like didn't make any noise, just constantly looking around, like not looking at me. I'm like, I think he's ticked off that I dare take him with me and have a minute or two with him because I'm not the person he wants to be around right now.
Mm-hmm. How dare you?
Yes, how dare I? Well, that's just the life of being a dad.
Yep.
You think you're going to have a special moment and it's, do we have to be here?
Oh, well.
Exactly. Oh, well, Brett. Well, things could be worse. I mean, you could try to tell someone you love them but not know their last name.
That is true. Very true. And that's a very, very nice segue into telling you, Tyler, I love you.
I love you too, Brett.
So let's dive into this synopsis of the episode we're going to talk about this week. We're going to look at the third episode of season 3. For those of you who like palindromes, that is 303. What I Meant to Say. When Cory tells Topanga, I love you, he earns the ill will of nearly everyone he knows. Sean and Eric know that every girl in the school will now expect to hear those same 3 words. But more importantly, Topanga also seems very upset about it and decides to break things off with Cory with no explanation. This episode was written by Mark Blutman and Howard Busgang, directed by David Kendall, first time on Boy Meets World. He will go on to direct 12 total episodes, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 8.2. And in our favorite game show,
Vast Emotional Damage.
That's right. Vast Emotional Damage, wherein, if you're brand new, Tyler attempts to guess just what the Nielsen rating was. If you're new to our game show and our podcast, the Nielsen rating system is based upon millions of eyeballs on the TV screen. In the 90s, this was measured by a little box on top of the TV. Now it's based on streaming numbers. And our previous episode, episode 2, had 17.4 as the rating number. That's 17.4 million viewers. So Tyler, at the risk of vast emotional damage, what is your guess at the Nielsen rating for What I Meant to Say?
I'm going back to 18.
Back up to 18, he says. I need to include a drum roll because the correct answer is 15.4. I'm sorry.
I mean, half the fun is me getting it wrong every episode.
Yes, another drop by almost just another solid 2 million. We've dropped about 4 million from the season premiere. Just 2 episodes in. Again, like I said last week, not uncommon in the mid-90s for a Friday night program. If it weren't for TGIF, you wouldn't have any real viewership on Friday nights anyway. So there we go. So Tyler, take it away with...
just real quick, as a side, TV shows nowadays would kill for 15 million. And back then they're like, gosh, this is garbage.
Seriously, the CW, which for years, their shows, to be successful and to brag about their ratings, would hit like 1.5 million viewers. I mean, that would be their bragging point, is 1.5 million. They never had a show that even sniffed at these numbers. So, I mean, for these shows in the death slot, that's still really impressive.
Yeah.
So take it away, Tyler. Take us through what I meant to say.
Well, we started with a very uncomfortable scene for two adults to be watching. We have Cory and Topanga. Almost like Cory and Sean. We have Cory and Topanga just in the back of Chubby's. They're playing a little pool, being flirty. That doesn't go well because Cory's distracted and making a mess. And so they decide to play darts. And then Cory throws the darts. And you hear Ryder Strong very clearly go, ow! So the fact that like Cory didn't realize, oh, that's definitely my best friend's voice. I should go check on him. Nope, I'm going to focus on my gal.
Cory, now, admittedly, Cory is very distracted by Topanga. I mean, she's like draped off of him this whole time. So, I mean, I'm going to buy into it. This is hormones raging through Cory. So,
oh yes, the power of the dating is upon him right now. That's probably the nicest way I can put it.
Yes.
And so they decide, let's just sit down and talk, because no one's ever been hurt with words.
Of course not. I clipped a little bit of their conversation. You want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
You know, Cory, I wasn't sure what to expect, but moving from friends to boyfriend and girlfriend has been real easy.
And fun. I think it's because we've been such good friends for so long.
So, Cory, are you feeling what I'm feeling?
I think I am. Topanga,
Yeah?
I love you. Did you hear what I said?
Yes. Can we go now?
Not the response you're looking for when you tell someone you love them for the first time.
No, but I questioned, and because I was watching with the family, and I asked my wife, what is she referring to? Because she says, are you feeling what I'm feeling? Mm-hmm. Which, for me, I take that as, oh, I want to deepen this relationship. And my wife goes, well, maybe that means that she wants to go steady. But I'm like, they're already going steady. They said boyfriend, girlfriend. Like,
I always had problems with making a distinction between boyfriend and girlfriend and going steady. It felt like just an arbitrary distinction, because in my head, if you're dating someone, you're dating someone. I always had a problem with dating multiple people at the same time anyway.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what she was expecting for, are you feeling what I'm feeling? So unless, like, she's thinking this is the 80s or the, very early 90s where you still talked about going steady, like, I don't know what else she thought that Cory may or may not be interested in, as they are who they are.
It would feel very outside of her character up to this point for her to expect a more open relationship where they're both dating multiple people.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I think this is the key point of our discussion of last year is I think Cory always had this inkling of having deeper feelings for her and couldn't put into words what that was. But now that they're together and they're spending time together and they're, just being themselves around each other and being all cutie flirty, he's able to realize, oh, what I'm feeling for her is love, and now I want to express that to her. And her being who she is, she'll realize that, yes, she too loves me, and that's why we're so perfect together. And her response is, let's go home.
Take me home. Now, I've seen TV and movies where, you've got this, it's kind of a trope where usually the guy says, and it's typically a guy where they've been invested in the relationship longer, or they're just they're the guy who wear their emotion on their sleeves, or they're just overly romantic, however you want to paint it. They'll say, I love you, and they'll hear some variation on nothing or thank you, or I believe at one point George Costanza said, I love you, and it was to a woman who was deaf in that ear, so there was nothing. Said it to a dog once, and he got licked. So it's a common trope for this to happen, but for the mood to change on a dime, and to all of a sudden go to take me home, that's just a punch in the gut for Cory.
Right. Well, and that's, again, this is my I get they're teenagers. But this is a show that's established. This girl knows what she wants, and she goes for it. And so the fact that she immediately is like, I need to leave this place because I need to think about this more, feels inauthentic to the girl that we've always known. And I get it. It's a new season. It's almost a new Topanga. Like,
let's have some drama.
And we have to have a problem for the episode to episode, and for a teaching moment to teach. Oh my gosh, that's what we need to just start saying, is teaching moment that needs to be taught.
That's a mouthful. Teaching moment's got to teach. Maybe Eli will give us something smooth to say. We'll see.
Maybe. But if I had done to them what you had done to them, and I'd done the same thing to them.
Oh, man.
Because if I had done to me what I did to them, then I'd have done the same thing to me that they did.
I can't believe you had that ready. So we transitioned to the school, and Sean's limping, and Cory's a little concerned.
It's the weirdest thing. Last night, I'm sitting at Chubby's, right? I'm looking deep into Paula Balboa's chestnut eyes. I lean forward, about to make my move, when some yahoo hits me in the butt with a dart.
You didn't see who it was?
No.
A lot of sick people out there, man.
So that's the question of, is he ever going to tell his friend that it was him that hit him in the dart?
Apparently not. And Sean never went to look who the Yahoo was either. He was more interested in Paula Balboa and her chestnut eyes.
That's definitely a 90s, insult. Like some Yahoo.
Yep. I still use it from time to time.
I got to get my email from them unlocked so that I can no longer use their email. It's been stuck like that for years. They keep saying, you have to pay in order to talk to our service people. And I said, no.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. I still use my email account with Yahoo. That's where a lot of my fantasy football gets played these days.
Boo.
Hey, one of those teams has been around for 20 plus years. It's not going anywhere.
So anywho, as they're talking, Sean's curious, hey, how was the night with Topanga? And he just goes, great. It was amazing. Up until the point that, something happened. Like, what? He goes, well, I told her that I loved her. And Sean freaks out immediately. Like, you'd have thought that he said fire in a movie theater. Mm-hmm. Like, you'd have thought he called in a bomb threat. Like, he used a racial slur. Like, he loses his mind immediately.
Yeah. And this is, it fits Sean's character. Sean has very much become the playboy womanizer. Eventually we'll hear the whole 2-week rule he has with girls. Not too long, I believe. But yeah, this idea of dropping the L-bombs so soon, or even at all, is just, it's anathema to him. Mm-hmm. It fits.
Yes, no, you don't use the L word. You don't. Because once you do, all of the girls will expect it.
Yep. Every girl's going to want to hear it.
And I like how Cory's so confused. He goes, "Shh, you're like a stinking canary."
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in this instance you mean a parrot, but I mean
Probably.
a canary is a signal that miners use to indicate problems. So
Yeah, because I mean, a canary in a coal mine would indicate there's danger. There's gases if the canary dies. But canaries also sing loudly, and in nature. But still, it's still a funny joke.
Oh, it is. I just like to interpret that he's thinking of the wrong bird. Mm-hmm. That's a more funny
It's
image
Sean.
for me. But I like how Eric's walking by with a new girlfriend.
Yes, he is. And let's talk about this girlfriend, Christy Watson.
What? She has a last name?
I believe so. Yeah, I wrote it down anyway. Played by Anastasia Horn. First of two appearances on Boy Meets World. She'll show up again as Christy with a Y. This time it's just with an I. I don't know if that means it's the same Christy or if they just decided to have her play a different Christy. We'll see when we get to 318 Life Lessons. And I'm really interested. I'm blanking now. I'm really curious if she and Eric are dating in 318 again. But she has 13 credits to her name, including Kids Incorporated, Teen Angel, which was also on TGIF very briefly, Port Charles, The Bachelor, the movie with Chris O'Donnell, not the TV show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and others. She has not appeared on screen since 2002. Right now, it's Christy with an I. But yeah, I really enjoyed when Eric finds out about what Cory said to Topanga, and I clipped that one as well.
What could you possibly be thinking? Christy's gonna expect me to tell her that I love her. Oh, man, I gotta do something now. You gotta think, Eric. Ow. Thinking cramp? Yeah. I get those too. All right, Christy, I love you. Christy, I love you. Christy, I don't even know her last name. Great. I gotta think. Ow.
Yes, Eric. Doesn't even know Christy's last name.
No, but this is perfect, Eric. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Like, he and Sean both have this tendency to freak out over the smallest things when it comes to girls. Mm-hmm. And this seemed like the perfect thing for him to spiral in.
Yes.
So, and I also just love how domesticated Eric becomes in this episode.
Oh, yes. I'm going to really enjoy talking about that when we get there.
Oh, before I forget, I don't think I mentioned this last time, but my wife did confirm that we are officially in peak Eric hair.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, and I think I transposed Watson there. It does not show up on IMDb as an actual last name for Christy.
Well, I mean, if it's like the next episode, like the next time she appears, maybe.
I'm scrolling through here. Nope, just Christy and Christy. Watson was my mistake.
So you're just trying to fill in the gap to be a good person.
I'm just trying to give Eric more credit than he deserves, I guess.
No, it's the writers that don't deserve the credit. Except for the fact they needed to be paid the right way if they're writing for sitcoms and streaming services.
There you go.
Yes. So, I love this reaction from Eric so much. Welcome to the podcast episode where 3 people freak out about love, and it's not Cory.
The only one who actually says the words.
Mm-hmm. But I like how Cory tries to ask Sean, like, well, do you think things are going to be fine between me and Topanga? He goes, fine. She's going to be eating out of the palm of your hand. You told her exactly what she wanted to hear.
Putty in your hand, man.
Yeah. Like, I don't think you understand what's actually happening, because Topanga wasn't acting like she was super thrilled to hear that. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and we really
maybe you're wrong about girl.
Yeah, we really get a look at to just how well Sean understands women. I mean, he understands at a very shallow surface level how to flirt, how to impress them, but he clearly does not understand the inner workings of what lays beneath the surface yet.
Right. Yeah. But Topanga enters in, and she's acting very, for lack of better wording, skittish. And avoids him at all costs and kind of walks away. And you're like, what are we in right now? A drama? Is this Grey's Anatomy? Like, is this Degrassi?
I was about to make the same comment. It's Degrassi. Definitely not the gushing, love-struck puppy hanging on Cory's every word.
Yeah. But then we have one of the best character introductions this whole show does.
Oh, yes. It's Mr. Eli coming down. Now,
I say that because we have met this character for like 3 seconds before, and he walked into the scene and he established he knew Sean well, he knew Turner well, he didn't know Cory well, but he interacted with him just fine.
Oh, yeah.
So like our understanding of who this guy is very limited right now. All we know is he's a friend of Turner's, and that's it. And all of a sudden, as him walking through the school, you're like, oh, what's he doing here?
Yeah.
To establishing what this is and what his role is in the show now.
And I enjoyed this a lot. So I did clip this introduction.
I figured I'm just talking. Play the clip, man.
All right.
Just a second, Jonathan. I got a situation.
Yeah, more than you know. Remember that interview I set was with Mr. Feeney?
Yeah, and you know what? I can't wait, because the first thing I'm going to do is tell Feeney he's got little mustache men power tripping all over his home. Feeney, right? Hi. Coffee?
And I forgot I didn't clip out the part about the coffee. So I apologize, good-looking people. But if you haven't seen it, again, like we've always said, what are you doing listening to us without watching the episode? But Mr. Feeney chasing Eli down the hallway because he snaked his coffee out of the coffee machine and demanding to know, I put my money in and the cup dropped, the coffee poured. How much did you put in? A nickel. Even in 1995, no one's getting a cup of coffee for a nickel out of an automated coffee dispenser.
No, inflation was not good. There's not that different.
And Mr. Feeney's not letting it go either. He's chasing him down the hallway. I love it.
Well, that's the best part is to go, don't think I'll let you get away with that. So it is enjoyable watching Feeney have the same authority over grown men as he does the students, Because eventually we will see him and Alan have kind of a similar relationship of where he does give advice to Alan, because I think as Alan transitions into having mostly teenagers, like he gets lost on how do I handle these guys? Like, it's not as easy as, throwing the ball with them and talking out their feelings. Like he doesn't know what to do half the time. So he will actually go to him for advice and they'll talk things out. And so to see him doing what he does to another grown man is quite wonderful.
I love it. What? Hey, Captain, what is your beef? My beef, Captain, is that you just snaked my coffee.
Then we have a really interesting scene between Sean and Cory. Because Sean finds Cory. Somehow he had time to go get flowers.
Well, we've seen them have an open lunch period where Cory has had time to leave campus and go to a frozen yogurt shop last season. So I'm guessing there's a
that was one episode, man. One episode. I will not accept that as an option.
I'm just trying to make episoding work because clearly we're not even to the lunch period yet, so I don't know.
Right.
And there's not going to be a florist in the episode.
Technically, he could have called in for flowers to be delivered there.
Yeah.
He could just have flowers ready to go just in case.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of some episodes going to episode doing a little lifting.
Maybe he
here.
got some wildflowers, during gym class. Who knows?
Maybe he keeps a bouquet in his locker.
Maybe. Anywho, Sean grabs him and he's about to pull him into the classroom, except he grabs the flowers and hands him off to a random student.
Not just any student, a jock.
A jock.
But he bum rushes Cory to do it too. It's like jumping on a grenade.
But the jock seemed appreciative of the gesture. And
he did.
Hey,
he
thanks,
felt
man.
He felt appreciated. He felt loved.
Yeah. He felt seen, maybe,
Yes.
So they're in the classroom and he's going through, show me what you did. Show me what happened. Mm-hmm. They're going through the date almost exactly how it went. And Sean realizes that she never said it back. So all the power is in Cory's hand.
Yeah. And it's that piece of information that was missing, the puzzle piece that Sean did not have. And it's an interesting theory that all the power is in Topanga's court now, because Sean's experience with relationships is definitely one based on power. The closest relationship he has seen growing up is between his parents, whether it's Chet and Verna or Chet and someone else. It's a power struggle. It's who brings home the most money. It's who can provide the most presence. It's presents, as in I'm here, not presence under the tree. It's who can be in the most power position. And this is what he's grown up seeing. And I'm sure the rest of his extended family is the same. And so this is what he knows. And so it makes sense to me that this is what he comes up with.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. There's no way that his father has shown him healthy ways of communicating with women.
Mm-hmm.
On the same token, Alan has shown his son healthy ways of communicating, but he's also chosen to not accept those. So, you deal with what you got. But then we have, I forgot to mention that after the scene with Feeney yelling at the boys, that they go ahead and Eli comes out of the meeting with Feeney and he's all distraught and he's like, I didn't kill anyone.
I stole his coffee. I didn't kill anybody.
And Turner lays out to him of, I think you would make a great media arts teacher. That's why I wanted you to meet with Feeney. And he goes, yeah, but, that's not going to happen. And then Feeney ghostly appears.
Mm-hmm. Does he always do that?
Yeah, just tells him, you have actual experience. That would be beneficial for my students. I want you in here and I want you teaching them.
Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate Eli's passion. And I hinted earlier this season when we first met Eli in the season premiere that I love his character. But his passion and his life experience is one of the things that I love, outside of the fact that I love Alex Dazer as an actor. But that's what got me fired from producing the 6 o'clock news. I'm trying to show people what's really going on with the slumlords in Philadelphia, and the station manager saying, well, let's see more of that woman that walks to work naked. This passion that Eli has with finding truth and sharing truth. He wants to get past fluff. He wants to communicate truth wherever it is. In that instance that got him fired, it was exposing what was going on and was harming a segment of the city that he cared about. And we don't ever really get any deep backstory as to where Eli came from. In my headcanon, maybe that's an area of the town that he even grew up in. Who knows? But his passion, his heart is to find truth and bring it to light. And that's one of the reasons I love Eli, and I'm so glad that they added him to the cast this season.
Me too. But then we get a great scene because those two walk in of Turner and Eli, and immediately goes, Hunter Matthews, stand up. I didn't do it. Stand up.
I clipped this introduction because it just makes me laugh out loud every time.
Matthews, Hunter, stand up.
I didn't do it.
Get up. Hunter, who's your best friend?
You are, sir!
Matthews, who's your best friend?
Sean is.
And what do we do to people who mess with our best friends?
Kill him.
All right. And with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Eli Williams, your new media arts teacher and my best friend. Mess with him and die.
Mess with him and die.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Couldn't make it any simpler.
Yeah. I like how Sean was like, you are sir, thinking that like he's
looking for some sort of a trick answer there.
right. This also leads into one of my favorite moments in the episode when he's like, all right, go ahead. Tell him what's happening. And he's like, I guess I'm here to help you guys learn how to figure out what the truth is. And immediately Cory ends up having this outburst in class.
Yes.
Oh, where is it?
Eli says, I guess, if nothing else, I'm here to teach you to find the truth in the media, because if there's a difference between what they say and what is real. And Turner, he's smiling. He says, that's very good. And he tells him, watch this. He says, Hunter, what'd he just say? Something about Israel? He says, and Turner goes, isn't that great? And so Eli goes on. I mean, let's face it, TVs and newspapers are not always honest. And without honesty, well, you're nowhere. And Cory's outburst is honest. Let me tell you a little story about a kid from Philly who was honest. You see, he said what was in his heart, and that's when he realizes that he's standing up in the middle of class going off on a teacher he just met as a teacher. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that out loud?
Yeah, it's like he almost has a break in his understanding of reality. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely doing this out loud. I guess we forgot to mention, Brett, is that Topanga attempts to break up with Cory in the cafeteria. We were talking about the cafeteria, which is why we skipped over it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in the cafeteria, she tries to break up with him, and thus is like right after that. So, quote unquote, Cory and Topanga have broken up, and now Cory is devastated. He's emotional, and Sean is upset because his theories are wrong. Apparently, maybe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then we get into this whole. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
The movie responds well. Okay, back to Israel.
Yeah.
But either way, so much happens in this day at school. It's just intense.
It's a jam-packed day. It really is. There's so much.
Well, I like how he gets home and his mom's like, Cory, dinner was a half hour ago. Yeah, it was delicious, Mom.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite conversations that Cory will have with Amy throughout the entire run. Just the comedic timing, the deadpan expression Cory has. He's just focused in on his own story, Amy is just listening and taking everything in, and she's on her own level, hearing what she's only taking in the information he's providing, and she's not getting any real context beyond the words he's sharing. And I clipped it because it, like I said, it is one of my favorites throughout the entire series, just for sheer comedy.
See, last night I was out with Topanga, and we were having a really nice time, so I figured why not go for it.
Go for it? Cory, what are you saying?
I went too far with Topanga.
Oh, my God. How did this happen?
She looked so pretty, Mom, and there we were all alone in the back room at Chubby's. Mom! No, that's not what happened.
Well, all right then.
Look, I just told Topanga I loved her, and she didn't feel the same way.
That broken cup it seals it. I mean, everything else up to that moment is gold, but that broken cup sends it over the top because it breaks Cory out of where he is and realizes, I've really not given the right context for this.
Well, and the other thing too is this is a great moment between the two of them. And in past seasons, they would go past the joke, and then here is now Amy who's going to explain to him what's happening and how he should feel about things. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that's a little sad that we're not getting that moment because, parenting for the win. Yeah. But, there's a great moment that comes a little bit later, and I feel like Amy would have given similar advice, probably a little better advice, but, would Cory have listened? Maybe not.
Considering where Cory is, and with the last episode where his response to Amy was, women just bring you heartache, he might have a little hard time listening to Amy and what she might say. Yeah, I'm with you though. I really would have loved if Eric didn't interrupt.
I would love for them to have that moment, but would Cory have actually listened? Mm-hmm. Is Cory actually going to respect her opinion? I don't know right now.
Yeah, I like to headcanon that after Eric and Christy have walked through the kitchen, that Amy offered some advice.
Yeah.
But Eric and Christy do interrupt and come into the kitchen after they've gone to.
And that's the thing, is that they come and interrupt in this new blossoming, loving couple that openly says, I love you.
From Pottery Barn.
Show them the ceramic cat later.
Gonna make you eat that ceramic cat. Wash it down with the napkin holders.
Gonna make you eat that cat.
And wash it down with the napkin holders. I love you, Christy.
She's like, I love you, Eric Matthews. It's like, how don't you know her name? Learn her name.
Learn her name. Yes. I'll have to see if I can add that in post.
I hope so.
Learn her name.
Yes, but we can go forward to them being at Chubby's, maybe the day later, maybe the same day. Who's to say? Mm-hmm. Doesn't fully matter. But Cory and Sean are just hanging out, and Sean's trying to encourage him. Like, hey, buddy, that relationship's done, but, maybe there's other girls out there, and, stop thinking about her. And then we get this nice headshot of Sean's mouth coming out of Topanga's face.
Yeah. That's some nice camera work. Yeah, mm-hmm. I'm thinking it's the same day because Cory's wearing the same shirt, and Sean looks like he has. Honestly, Sean looks like he's wearing the same shirt, different vest, but he looks like he's wearing the same shirt underneath. So,
yeah. Well, then now Eli has to come down to Chubby's because every cool new teacher every groovy teacher has to.
Groovy new teacher. Yeah, the food's not that bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's what we need. Groovy teacher shirts.
Groovy new teacher. Earring boy.
Yeah, but he's trying to say, hey, I like to come here. Kids are here. If they got something going on, they can come approach me. It's a little more casual, and I get to look out for them.
Yeah, it makes himself available for them.
Yeah, which is actually a really cool thing. That is something that is really admirable about him, because he doesn't have to do that. He could easily go anywhere else to get food, literally any other part of town. He could go into a different school district. The fact he wants to invest in his students' life is quite admirable.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah. Until he's on the other side of the school.
And then he doesn't make himself available to his students anymore. Yeah, but Eli sees Cory. Hey, there's that weird little kid. There's that weird kid that freaked on me during class.
Yeah, I think the writers forgot that Cory and Eli have met each other, but it's fine. Let's just say this is the first time they really talk to each other.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really... The one episode we saw them, they didn't really interact. So, I mean...
That's true.
Yeah.
Although these two have a kinship that's different than what he has with Feeney and Turner both. So, do you have the clipping of their conversation?
I did clip it, yes.
That freaking out stuff, that was just for the new guy?
Sorry about that. I started having a bad day.
Really? Because you hide us so well.
See, I told my girlfriend I loved her and she dumped me. But I shouldn't have said anything.
Well, didn't you mean it?
No, of course I meant it. She knows that.
Then you got nothing to apologize for.
Yeah, I got nothing. No girlfriend, no jean jacket.
Well, why did she break it off?
She didn't say. All she said was, it's over. But what I can't figure out is... Look, I know she cares about me too.
Sounds like she's not being honest. There's more story out there. Go find it.
It's to you. She won't come back to me.
Yeah, maybe not. But without the truth, you got nothing. And without your jacket, well, you're just cold.
That's wise words from Eli. I mean, he really did manage to connect with Cory on his own level in language from his own field.
Yeah. It's the way he makes it sound as if you're a reporter. You got a story you need to get the whole answers to, and you better go get it. So, yeah. No, I like the way he addresses him. And there's kind of a directness that he has with him that other teachers don't have, because he's not really a trained teacher.
Yeah, and I like that he doesn't offer any false hope either. Because Cory, at the end of the conversation there, Cory says, what's the use? She won't come back to me. And he says, yeah, maybe not. But without the truth, you got nothing. And without your jacket, well, you're just cold.
Yeah.
His point in telling Cory to go talk to Topanga isn't to try and fix their relationship and get them back together. His point is telling Cory to go find out why. What's the reason? What's the truth behind this? You don't have an answer. There's a story behind all this. Go figure it out so that you have an answer.
Well, I now have a thought that maybe Amy wouldn't give this exact advice as what Eli's giving, because she probably could have said something effective. Well, maybe it just wasn't meant to be, and you just have to leave it at that sometimes.
She very well may have.
And maybe Eli's the only one that was going to talk to him this way to help him to go have the courage to go break into her house, apparently.
I'm curious if Cory tried to knock on the front door or if he just went straight for the tree and Sean's been rubbing off on him.
Could be. I mean, Cory's dangerous as long as he's not too close to Sean.
Yeah, he kind of becomes meek Cory when he's around Sean. He's got to be the good guy.
Yeah. He's got to balance himself out a little bit. But yeah, we get to Topanga's room for the first time, weirdly. And Cory's confronting her. Like, here's my jean jacket. I'm going to go. And then it's, I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Yeah. But I like Topanga's response of, I was scared. Scared of what these feelings are, because, She says we're only 14, although Sean's 15, so maybe he's just a little bit older. Mm-hmm. But, regardless, we're teenagers. We're in 9th grade. These are really intense emotions. Mm-hmm. How can we possibly know that these are the real emotions? Mm-hmm. Now, did you clip this part with the whole...
I did, yes.
I'm starting to guess of what part you actually clip and what you don't. So,
yeah, I tried to pick some of the big parts here.
Cory, we were only 6.
Who cares?
How could you know then? I'm not even sure I know what I love you means now.
Look, all I know is you and I belong together. I mean, I've always been able to talk to you, to make you laugh. And I've always wanted to take care of you. All right. Topanga, I've been completely honest with you. So, I got my jean jacket, so I'll leave you alone.
So that's what I love you means?
Yeah. Bye.
Cory? I love you too.
And that's Cory's definition of love.
Mm-hmm.
That he feels that they belong together. He's always been able to talk to her, to make her laugh, and he's always wanted to take care of her. And when he boils it down, that's his definition of what I love you means.
Yeah, pretty powerful. I like, because they always allude that Topanga's smarter than Cory. Topanga's better than Cory. Topanga has to win at everything. And I feel like it's one of those moments where Cory is helping her to be better, not just her helping him all the time be better. Because it feels like even though she used to be a free spirit and maybe, Dad has a little more money than we thought, maybe she hasn't fully grasped what I love you could mean in the context of them. Because there is a giant difference between when you say I love you to a person in high school, college, when you get married, when you've been married for 10 years, when you've been married for 20 years. Like, I love you, the words don't change, but the meanings behind them change. Like, I often try to tell my wife, like, when I say I love you, I mean, I am so thankful that you put up with me, that you still choose to put up with me, and you've blessed me with 3 beautiful babies. And I said, everything I have is because of you, and I'm so grateful to you, and I wish I could make you feel the way you make me feel. And I try the best I can to communicate those things, but she's not a words of affirmation person, so she doesn't always hear that whenever I use the words. I have to do different things. But yeah, for high schoolers, this is a pretty intense thing to happen pretty quickly. But also, these two have known each other for long enough that this doesn't feel out of left field. Maybe for Eric and Christy.
I don't know. They did go to Pottery Barn. Pottery Barn. Yeah, with Cory and Topanga, it's. I mean, if you've gone through this series, you know that eventually the writers will retcon that they didn't just meet in 6th grade, that they've went on walks together in their strollers, and it was only for a period that stretch of like 6 years when Cory believed Eric when he told him that you couldn't have a best friend that was a girl, that he turned against her. And that these two were basically destined to be together from infancy. And, we see a flashback where Cory and Topanga are pretty much a married couple when they're 5, and Sean has to save him out of a zoo pit. So, I mean, in the life of the series, it's not really a shock. I will say it is a very intense emotional push for a lot of adolescent relationships to have this kind of emotion at play, especially during the Sturm and Drang that is high school. 14-year-old emotions are hard enough to navigate on their own for an individual, much less trying to figure out what does it mean to love someone else, much less figure out how to love myself and appreciate who I am. And so even though we both find it to be a little bit out of character for Topanga through much of this episode to see her pull back all of a sudden, and for someone who knows what she wants and how she wants it and when she wants it for the first 2 seasons, there is a lot of reality to this, in that as a 14-year-old, to all of a sudden be shown this much emotional passion at once, it can be scary.
Well, and when we get to the episodes of Cory and Topanga's really intense relationship episodes, I think we're going to have some interesting conversations and takes about this that up until a few years ago I would not have had. But we go to the close of the episode, and Eric's trying to, I don't know, talk to Christy about taking their I love you status back down to I like you status. And he's trying to say how saying I love you broke up Cory and his girlfriend, and he's miserable and he's a mess. And then she sees the two of them walk out of the house, hip to hip. And Cory says, hey, I'm taking Topanga home, and I'm taking the long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son.
My son.
So yeah, and Eric immediately goes, Pottery Barn?
I love you, Eric Matthews.
Yes, and we end on the famous words, and I love you, Chrissy. Fade to black.
And we don't know what to make of Eric and Christy until maybe episode 18.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you what. Again, Eric wouldn't be in this mess if he just stayed with Linda.
Agreed. I like Linda.
Well, Brett, we got a little mushy with with some the words of love and what it means. What if we get some perspective from some other people who understand what it means to love and how much they love this relationship of Cory and Topanga?
That's a lot of love. Let's hear from it.
We are joined right now by the lovely moms of Dads Meet World. Moms, can you introduce yourself again?
I'm Sarah.
I'm Kelly.
Thank you for coming back with us. We're talking about episode 1 of season 3, and you girls just rewatched the episode for the first time in a while.
We did.
I just watched it last week with you.
So for the first time in a while. So, you know, you come on quite often, and we like talking about, you know, the female perspective of what's going on. So how did you two feel about Cory and Topanga and how they finally became a couple?
And just for the good-looking people at home, Kelly does have a 6-month-old baby in her lap.
I do.
So she may be a little distracted.
A little bit.
Aunt Kelly needs some baby time.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I enjoy that episode and how they get together. I'm also a big fan of Brittany Murphy.
Oh, yes.
And her Trini in The Boy Meets World. I wish there's more of her. But, yeah.
That's fair. Kelly, what did you feel or think?
I enjoyed the episode. I honestly felt really bad for Cory through it because he was obviously going through a lot of emotional turmoil. But at the end, you can definitely see that that's the only way he would have actually asked Topanga out.
Betrayal from his best friend.
Yeah, he had to get angry about it.
So do you girls feel like the way they represented Topanga in this episode was fair and accurate?
I mean, I want to know more from her perspective. Like, I get it's Boy Meets World, but, you know, did she know about the plan? Was she going along with it? If not, why did she agree to go out with Sean? So I have some follow-up questions with that as to her involvement in this whole scenario, but... And also, if she did know... I don't know if I like it if she knows or, you know...
Yeah, I kind of feel like I don't want her to know because has such high integrity,
right?
And always.
But it also like bothers me if she doesn't know because like
they tricked her too.
Yeah, and Sean, like, why does she agree to go out with Sean? Like,
right
when she clearly doesn't. Like, Sean's just a friend, not like.
Well, did she agree to go on a date with Sean or just go as friends to go see a movie because Cory didn't ask her and she didn't want another boy to ask her?
I still don't like it.
Okay, that's fine.
Especially because he put his arm around her.
Like
was
she
doing
was
the tic-tac thing.
Yeah,
like,
she was going along. They're walking real close together.
They're
like,
holding hands on the way out.
Yeah, so like all of the things, like I don't think I like it if she doesn't know either.
Right.
Now, do you feel like Cory treated Trini okay, or what did you feel about that?
I feel like Cory needs to work on his communication skills. Because he can't seem to tell anybody the truth or how he feels, because he even agrees to go with Trini.
Yeah, when she was
you're asking me out. We're going in for a kiss. Like, he really needs to work on his communication skills.
Yeah, he's definitely a teenage boy.
Brett, do you have any follow-up questions for the girls?
If you could give Cory one piece of advice, what would it be?
Other than communicate.
You got to be honest. You got to tell people what you feel. You got to communicate. It is really it. Also, be nicer to Trini.
Yes, be nicer to Trini.
Because that's your girlfriend's best friend who is only around for a few episodes.
Oh, still too bad she didn't catch on in the writing of the series. One piece of advice to Cory.
The old Ketchup Pro.
The old what?
Ketchup Pro.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then when she sticks her finger in it, like, she's going to eat it.
Sarah already said it. So I'm trying to think of something else.
I would like to say Brittany Murphy is fantastic.
Absolutely is. It made me want to go watch Clueless, too. Am I allowed to plug that in a Boy Meets World podcast?
You can. If we don't like it, we'll just cut it out.
Okay, cool.
Also, you should watch the Brittany Murphy documentary.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's okay. We plug a lot of stuff that's not Boy Meets World, so.
Her death is a conspiracy.
Good looking people. Henry has found the mic cord.
So, what grade would you give this episode?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Like, there's not even I enjoy the subplot of this movie too, like with Eric and Frankie and Joey. It's a really good Frankie and Joey episode where they've got some good comedic chops in it. I'm gonna give it an A.
Fair.
Nice. I like that. I would give it a B, just because I don't like the whole Cory being sad the whole episode. But as an episode itself, I think it was really well written. The comedic timing was awesome on everybody's part. I love the B story and even the C story with Turner and what's his face? Eli. And just the Sean living with Turner, getting a little glimpse into that too. So I think as an episode, I need to change my grade to an A because they did a really good job. They did a good job with all of those three elements.
You just didn't like emotionally how you felt watching Cory be in turmoil.
We felt bad for Cory, but it's a really well written episode.
Right.
They came out swinging the first episode of the third season.
They sure did. They sure did.
Now, just as a quick aside, how did the two of you feel about the whole Sean and Turner living together situation? How did it feel in this episode?
I mean, I appreciated that Turner was trying to, set down the boundaries because, summer was obviously different than the school year. Like I live with the teacher now, so I don't have to... I can just get a note. And the note is, no way.
Yes, that was really good.
And Sean going to school in his pajamas.
Right. Somehow he had a change of clothes and
he had an overshirt, but he's still walking around wearing those red striped pants.
That's right. So he took off the
like
robe.
those silk red striped pants.
That was great.
And now it's normal to go to school in your pajama pants.
That's right. Cory going on a job interview and Sean rolling out of bed. Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, and there's a true delineation now of the character of Sean and the character of Cory, and they're in their lanes, and almost the lanes are going to be in for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, the two of them are kind of hodgepodge back and forth on who is the instigator, who is the one getting them into trouble, and who's trying to get them out of trouble.
Yeah, they're definitely going from tween to teen.
Teenagers.
In this season. Yeah.
They definitely have more real emotions besides like girl. Like their emotions are becoming complex.
Pretty girl.
Girl, right there.
It's like an Inside Out. Girl, warning.
So what lesson do you think you may have learned from this episode? Or what's something that was like a reminder of?
Communication.
That's a good one. A good lesson?
Say what you need to say. Set boundaries. Communication. That's what I stand by.
Meet your friends where they're at. Meet people in your life where they're at. Because obviously Cory needed a little push to get out of himself and get out of his head. So even though I don't necessarily agree with the tactics that were taken, Cory needed something.
Yeah, he definitely needed the push.
Right.
Well, we just want to thank you ladies for hopping on with us once again. We always appreciate you coming on and giving your mom opinions.
Indeed.
So, Brett, is there anything else you want to ask the ladies, or
when should we expect Moms Meet World?
Not ever.
I mean, it would be a very informative podcast that we would do because, I mean,
we would probably dive into the child psychology behind all of all of the characters.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in hearing a Moms Meet World podcast or exclusive Patreon, sound off in the comments and let us know.
If you pay, we'll do it.
If you pay, we will come.
All right. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Thank you, moms.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Well,
There's
Brett,
a school bell.
I think we need to get to some deep dives.
I agree.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
So let's start with darts, because we'll get to pool later on this season, so we don't need to tackle pool right now. But darts is a classic bar game. It is that game where you have the little darts. Little darts. Anywho, You got the board, you got different points on it, and most people know you get into the center, that's a bullseye.
Bullseye!
But there's other points along the way as well that'll help you that I don't fully understand. Darts, or dartboard, originated from the United Kingdom, is what I'm seeing. The original target in the game is likely to have been a section of a tree trunk. It's circular shape, concentric ring giving rise to a standard dartboard pattern in use today. An older name for dartboard is butt. The word comes from the French word butt, meaning target or goal.
We are so mature.
Standard numbered point system is a tribute to a Lancashire carpenter, I wonder what that is, named Brian Gamlin, who devised it in 1896. First time it was played was considered 1860. There's a lot of different stuff to go into it. The main reason why I wanted to have at least a little bit of information about this sucker is because I feel like everyone sees a dartboard and goes, oh yeah, dartboard. And everyone thinks, oh, I could get a bullseye. And most often they can't. Like, we had a plastic one for a while that we literally put like so many holes into our wall because we just were always missing. It's mostly that I feel like we need to discuss the fact of Chubby had a dartboard that was at a spot that someone easily could have gotten hit with a dart, and that felt kind of foolish and felt irresponsible.
I agree.
I can't believe that's the first person that's ever been hit like that. So here's just some advice on high school relationships that I think you and I will have some fun with. Mostly because a lot of it has to do with love. First thing is understanding the difference between love and infatuation. Basically yes, you could be in love with someone, or you're just really, really like them and are really attracted to them, and that's all it is. It's not actually a deeper, meaningful thing. It's just you like the idea of them, but maybe, aren't in love with them. Take it slow. People go way too fast and make really poor choices, and then they have to live with those consequences. There's many consequences you can get from taking things way too fast. Don't get emotionally stuck into a relationship. I think what this is referring to is you may be in a relationship with somebody and you're like, well, I don't think I actually want to be in a relationship with them, but you fear for them and you're like, oh, if I break up with them, how is this going to impact them? How is this going to affect them? And you can be guilted into staying longer than you should be staying. Think really carefully before you get physical. Again, kind of the same thing of not rushing. Physical is physical is physical. And I'm going to leave it at that. You have to be careful. It's okay to say no. Understanding your boundaries is the way I interpret that, because if you don't say, this is my boundary, then they can't respect it or disrespect it. And whether someone respects or disrespects your boundaries is all a part of how committed they are to you as a person. Understanding a commitment at this age doesn't necessarily last. Just understand the fact that you're in high school and you're just having fun with another person and it's in this time and that's all it is. I've actually, fun fact, reached out to girlfriends over the past 2 years because I was doing a message where I went through my dating history and I tried to apologize to a couple of them, and they both were like, yeah, no, you were fine. I have nothing but fond memories of you. I was like, okay, good. You don't remember when I was a total jerk. Good to know. Communication and understanding is important. Understanding who the person you're dating is and communicating what the things you are feeling and what is going on. So if someone feels that they love someone, communicate that. If you have two people that are in two different sections, that's not really healthy. So if one person feels much more deeply than the other person does, then that's not good. And I've been on both scales of that. I've said I love you too quickly, or someone else said I love you too quickly to me, and both of those are not good. Don't let them pressure you into anything. Again, it's kind of the taking it slow and understanding of don't ever let peer pressure in your own relationship be the thing that drives the things in your relationship. Let things happen naturally. Don't let things occur just because you feel like you're supposed to. We'll get there eventually, season 5. That's going to be a Nick Cut episode.
Promises.
Don't fall, rise. That's a weird one. If your relationship is good, you won't fall in love, you will rise. Basically, it's just a semantic argument of you're not falling for someone, you're rising with somebody. Basically elevating each other is what I'm hearing. And last, you don't have to be in one. Dear friends, just because we have notions of relationships being the be all end all of everything. Most often, if people are honest, the times they had the most fun in high school was probably when they weren't with a significant other that they broke up with eventually. For those that are lucky enough to meet someone in high school and marry that person, I know a few. That's great. And I'm sure they had a good time. But, for me, like my senior year, I was single the whole time. And I had a good senior year. It was great. And I wasn't distracted by a girlfriend. So I was able to focus on the things I wanted to focus on and do the things I wanted to do, which was nice. I spent a lot of time playing video games and hanging out with two adorable children who are now teenagers.
And making fun videos that are still on YouTube somewhere.
All right, so let's talk about ceramics and specifically ceramic mugs and understanding of how easily they break. Ceramic mugs are fired in a high temperature. The layers make them strong and heavy at the same time. Having two ceramic layers allows the mugs to keep anything in it warm for a long time, but the added weight is a drawback, especially if the mug has a handle. The weight of the mug often causes the mug to break from its holder, and as hard as a ceramic can be, it can still break if it crashes into something hard or falls on the floor. If you keep this from happening, the ceramic mug can last a decade or more. If you plan to use ceramic mugs for heating in a microwave or baking, baked mug cakes, it is best to go in a high heat resistant or oven proof ceramic mug. If not, the microwave or the oven temperatures can crack and break it easily. There you go. So you gotta get the specific mugs for the specific things. I couldn't find mugs in the 80s, how easy they were to break or how much pressure you need in order to break a mug. Because every time I try to look up anything about mugs, I just kept getting ads for mugs, which is really annoying. I was able to find a little bit, but the results were varying of 300 to 500 PSIs. Or I saw one that was like 10,000 PSIs. I'm like, these are very different numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to break ceramics and these type of dishes, but I think Amy was under a lot of stress, and I don't doubt that she would have the strength to potentially break it if she was nervous for one of her babies.
She was worried one of her babies was making babies.
A question can easily come up, Brett. How is it possible that Eli, who does not have a teaching certificate, how is he able to become a teacher at the school? What's the deal with that? And I did find some resources, but I'm just going to talk frank. So here's the deal, people. I don't know about the 90s, because every time I try to look up something about the 90s, it's like, you want to find a t-shirt from the 90s? And it's like, no, stop trying to sell me, Google. Here's what I know about today. Today, you can be a substitute teacher with just a college degree, a bachelor's degree. You can go out and substitute teach because you have what's called an emergency substitute license. If someone, say, with actual experience in a field, say auto mechanic, carpentry, they can apply for a specific type of license that they can get, where because of the experience they have, it's the same as if they went out for education, essentially, and they would end up doing some classes to kind of help. Just an understanding of how to do classwork, and they have a test that they have to do in order to say that they are competent in the field, that they could be competent in the classroom, and a lot of it comes down to if a school recommends them for that. So Mr. Williams would have the credentials required in the field that he would be teaching about. Now, if they put him in a math field, could he actually teach it? No. But could he stand in the room? Yeah, I couldn't teach a subject whenever I was substitute teaching, but I could stand in the room and give a guess for people of what they were doing. Layman's terms, is this a real thing? Yeah, it is. Would a school do this with media arts? I don't know. But, this is Feeney we're talking about. Feeney does whatever Feeney feels like. Is it a huge stretch that Feeney would hire someone to be a media arts teacher for a year? No.
Not if he felt it would benefit his students.
So yeah, it's possible that he could be like almost like an emergency, get like an emergency certification, and they could work on him being considered a full-blown teacher. Now, I will say that a lot of times with these type of situations, they may not be paid the same as regular teachers, and also they may not even fit the criteria right away to be a part of the teachers union. So that's all things that come into play as well. So, but for Eli, for him, it's just a job. So what does he care? It's not out of the question for him to be able to do that. I actually have a friend who went to school for education, has a teaching certificate in Pennsylvania, but also is a mechanic on the side and could easily become the new shop teacher when that becomes available. But he would have to give up his teaching certificate in order to be able to teach automotive.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, Brett, I think it's time for us to address the elephant in the room of the 90s, and that is denim. Because as you know, denim was everywhere in the 90s. So I thought the first thing that we needed to do was address to jeans itself. Okay, where'd it come from? How'd that all happen? So the birth of jeans apparently was May 20th, 1873. Back in the day, the mid 1980s, to be exact. Basically, they were referred to as waist overalls. They were all the rage, but not because they were the style, but rather practical. The brainchild of the businessman Levi Strauss and tailor Jacob Davis, blue jeans combined material rivets to denim trousers to create a durable uniform that stood up to the rough and tumble work of the 49ers, so the Gold Rush, not the football team. Workwear, as we knew it, was revolutionized, and it would never be the same. So basically, if we go through all the different gaps of time, in the early 1990s, you got a lot of workers using denim jeans, like miners, as we said before, but also cowboys, and basically every labor force out there is using them in some way, shape, or form. A lot of like craftsmen and whatnot, those type of things. Basically, the type of people that were wearing them back then wear them now. Mm-hmm. Except nowadays we call those work jeans. But as time progressed, especially in the 60s, we started getting more design in our jeans, like the flower power. What made jeans cool, though, was in the 1950s with James Dean coming on the scene and really apparently making it jeans something, for the youth to collab onto. Then we have the 1960s, flower power, getting more designs in our jeans and creativity. So the 1980s is when the designer denim was truly born. A 15-year-old Brooke Shields starred in a Calvin Klein commercial saying, "Nothing comes between me and my Calvins." Jeans were starting to become a much bigger deal. And essentially from what I found is one of the reasons that... Oh, sorry. We need to backtrack for a moment because the next thing is about... So hold the pin because we're about to the 90s. Because now we have to go into the double denim of why the heck were people in the 90s all of a sudden wearing denim pants and also denim jackets. And Brett, would it surprise you if I told you that the 90s was not the first generation of denim?
No, it would not.
Yeah, because in the 1950s is when double denim really started. And you had some famous people, Marilyn Monroe, George Harrison, Elvis Presley. All these people were rocking the double denim, It was more their casual look. It wasn't their outperforming type looks. And then apparently in the 1970s, you had the Canadian tuxedo is what it was referred to. And you had a lot of cowboys and gold miners, 49ers. Back to that. They were rocking the double denim. 1980s. Big hair, neon colors, side ponytail. But also... people were wearing double denim again, but a little more Donna was spotted wearing a light blue denim shorts and a black tee with an oversized denim dark blue jacket. So like there's a little bit more of like it looks different, so I don't think we noticed it. But then in the 90s, we had like almost same pattern of pants and same pattern of denim jackets. And one of the reasons that it was so popular, you guessed it, famous people wore it. And if famous people wear it, other people, normal people will wear it. Now, let's just throw out some names that I saw as to who was wearing double denim in the 90s. Heidi Klum, Brad Pitt, Drew Barrymore, Tyra Banks, Johnny Depp, Britney Spears, Pamela Anderson, Naomi Campbell, and Justin Timberlake. Any of those names sound familiar to you, Brett?
Oh, very familiar.
Yeah. So it's one of those trends that just became super popular because it was in the young culture, pop culture zeitgeist, and it was just fashionably acceptable. It's like the fedora all of a sudden being on every single person's head in the early 2000s. And one of the things I looked up is basically from the fashionistas I was reading on. They were like, listen, double denim has basically always been around at this point, and it will continue to be around. It's just not really a trend from one decade. It's always around, and it's just always going to be around because you can do it different ways. But the way that they did it in the 90s apparently is now coming back. Yeah, just so you know, all good-looking young people, any and all fashion you have, someone else wore it before you, and most likely it was your parents.
That's right. I still got a denim jacket in my closet somewhere.
Very nice. And Brett, those were our long but fun facts.
All right, so let's wake the good-looking people up by asking...
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
What did we learn today, Tyler?
I think the thing I learned is pass.
I'll start. Don't be afraid to find the truth. A lot of times you're going to be wary of looking for the truth because you're afraid to hear what it is. You're just going to want to sit and you figure you're safer not knowing, or you don't know. Don't be afraid to get out there and look for what is real. Not just, and it's probably not the first time I've said it. It won't be the last time I said it. It bugs me to no end to hear the expression, my truth or your truth. I'm talking about the truth, reality, not perception. Don't be afraid to find out what is real and what is true about what your situation is, what is going on around you, and what is real. Because without it, you've got nothing, just like Eli said.
Yep. The only reason why I'm having a hard time coming up with something concrete is because I've never been scared of sharing my emotions. Thing that you know, and I think the good-looking people that have been with us since the beginning, they know that too. I mean, honestly, everybody knows once they get to know me for a little bit. So I have a hard time relating to the struggle, I guess, of this episode. Because I don't have this fear. I've never had this fear. I think the only thing I can think of is if I'm going to a place that I'm going to interview, I think I need to be more careful of who I interact with and how I treat everybody. Because Eli came in hot and heavy, and don't think he should have done that, and easily could have blown that opportunity. If not for the fact that Feeney is a good person and is willing to give people a second chance. So be more cautious before you go into and who you're, making fun of.
There you go. So let's move on to
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
that part of the episode where we grade this episode. Tyler, how would you grade what I meant to say?
I'm going to have to go with an A+. It's just, this is one of their classic episodes. And I know that someone could make the argument of Cory and Topanga, this is their first breakup. If it's in the same day, it's not a breakup. I'm a firm believer that this is just a disagreement, and the two of them don't know how to work through that disagreement right now. And so this is different of understanding. So the moment they talk it out, they're fine. And I like the way they truly introduce Eli of who he's going to be in this role in this school year. I liked the interaction that Cory had with Amy. I wish Alan would have been in this episode, but hey, at least we had Amy. And just watching Eric and Sean respond the way they do is just hilarious to me, especially because Eric goes full blown into the domestic good boyfriend, and he doesn't want to be that. So it's just fun all around, and seeing Feeney be Feeney. And then lastly, Hunter, who's your best friend? You are, sir.
All right. I'm going to go with an A-.
Well,
it is a classic episode. It's one that I watch a lot. It's got those classic moments. It is missing Alan. This would be a great time for Alan to speak truth into Cory's life. It'd be a great time for Amy to speak more truth into his life on screen. One thing that it was missing specifically for me that would have given it a higher grade, aside from Eli's advice for Cory to seek out truth to give him answers, the only advice Cory gets from his situation is bad advice about telling Topanga why, or about not telling Topanga that he loves her. He doesn't work out why he shared that with anyone except Topanga. No one comes alongside him and asks him why he shared it, except to tell him that he should never have said that. Eli gives him solid advice to go look for truth and to look for the answers. But at no point does anyone in a mentorship role help him work through why he's struggling with even sharing those words and how they could have been scary, except for in that moment with Topanga. And I feel like that could have been something that this episode would have benefited from.
But the only thing I can think of is that sometimes, and I know you and I have both been guilty of this, but when something's going on and we have a focus elsewhere, we can miss the fact of one of our people are hurting, and they could be right in front of us and our mind is not focused and we don't see, oh, he's hurting. Now, could Turner have followed him and figured out what was happening? Of course, but honestly, I think the outburst was mostly just a way to have a joke, because the show is more concerned about jokes than continuity, as we know.
Yes.
But, part of the problem is, like, because the goal is to get to the joke, to get to the next thing, get to the next thing, to get to the next thing, there's so many things happening all at once, when this could benefit from 2 episodes of confusion and not knowing, and but this show doesn't do the 2-parters yet.
Oh, no.
Which is why once the show starts doing 2-parters, there's less of the, and then we get to this, then we get to this, then we get to this, then we get to this. Like, when we finally start getting our 2-parter episodes, we're like, okay, we can breathe in this episode.
And that's something that I felt like this could have benefited from. That room to breathe just a little bit. And we could have had a little bit of that.
I don't disagree with you, but the fact that you're in the A range is good enough for me.
Well, I'm glad you approve that my grade is good for you.
Oh, it could be better, but, it's good enough.
All right. Well, I believe that you owe me a dad joke.
I do owe you a dad joke. And I was prepared and ready because that's what I'm here for. All right. So, what's the king of all school supplies?
The king of all school supplies. You got me stumped on that one.
The ruler.
And with that, good-looking people, that has been an episode of Dad's Meet World.
Yes, it is.
Yes, we thank you for checking us out this week, and we invite you to check us out even more online. We've got social media profiles at Dad's Meet World across Facebook, Instagram, the social media platform previously known as Twitter, currently known as X, apparently. I don't know how long that's going to stick. At Dad's Meet World, like I said, we've got pictures, posts, all kinds of stuff you can interact with. You can find us on YouTube at Dad's Meet World. Send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And I just added Season 3 artwork swag to the Dad's Meet World at threadless.com store.
Nice.
Yeah.
I gotta get my new shirt.
Yeah.
Well, Brett.
Yeah.
As always. See you, good looking.
They want you to take the rules!
I'll see you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
You can find Dad's Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dad's Meet World. Dad's Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.
Sorry, I thought I had a burp coming. I did. So there we go. Okay.
Something that is so bad there's not a real word for it. It's actually in Urban Dictionary. There's a second entry for it. A word my friends and I made up to define something that is so ugly that there is no proper word to describe it. She's so ugly, the word ugly doesn't say it. She's a goobois. It's upvoted once and downvoted 48 times.
Are you taking a selfie?
I was trying to.
But first, let me take a selfie.